Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. Pre-event prediction on opening break, where I get to show Hunter JJX that I know more about Halo than him. What's going
Oh
on, everybody?
my
My
gosh.
name is Ashes, and with me is the most handsome co-host I could possibly ask for. How you doing, man?
I mean, I was doing good until I came into just getting spawn camped. Just shots coming in right off spawn. Just can't even move before I'm catching strays. But no, I'm doing great, man. You totally nailed it right on the head. Literally my favorite type of episode to do. Excited to dive in. Finally, we've been like dancing around the topic the last couple of weeks. It's like we're gonna hold off. But to finally look at these pools, finally look at these teams and make some predictions. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I just realized I didn't have music going, so let me throw that on in the background. But we've got a lot to talk about. We've got pool play predictions. We've got overall event predictions. We've got why Nemesis is the best team in Europe and why they should break into the top 4 of this event. But before we get into it, we always got to start off with something musical. What have you been listening to, man?
Actually, let me pull it up. I was thinking like we might do a playlist check-in, so let me make sure I'm ready for that. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Windwalkers, honestly.
Valid.
Really like that band. Obviously, I'm a little biased, just got back from my second tour with them. They're gonna take over the world. Those dudes got to 1 million monthly listeners completely independent, no help before they got signed. So
That's amazing.
that alone speaks to the talent level. So lots of Windwalkers, obviously some Caskets. Been revisiting the Architects album, dude. I'm just like, bro, this thing is so good. Like I was just really caught off guard by how good that record is. So that, and then non-metal related, I always listen to this band called Magic quite a bit. They're like kind of reggae pop stuff, just good vibes. Like I like the beachy vibes in my house. So
yeah.
That's my playlist check-in. Just my friends and I, we've been having a group chat debate about Sleep Token. Obviously, I'm the one that's like lukewarm. I'm not gonna say I don't like it, but I still haven't like had enough time with it yet to see where I would rank it in their records. But what about you, man? What have you been listening to? Playlist check-in.
Sleep Token. Just
all right.
on repeat.
Where are you putting this album? Like, because for me, Sundowning is kind of god tier. Like the songs on there. I would put Sundowning probably and Take Me Back to Eden kind of tied for me in terms of like, I don't know though, because that second album was really good too. I don't know. Where are you ranking it though? The new record compared to the rest of them? Like, you can take your time with this.
It started off slightly lower than Take Me Back to Eden, which is kind of the record that made me discover them and really get into them. Obviously Alkaline and Offering and stuff like that I'd heard. But this one is kind of surpassing it, I think, a little bit. Like every single song is a banger, and I don't find myself really skipping any. Which like there would be days, even in the heyday of Take Me Back to Eden, I'd skip 4, which is surprising because I love heavy metal music. But But yeah, this album just on repeat and just in the background 24/7, driving at my desk, working, scrims, whatever. It's playing to the point where like we were doing VOD review and Avicii was like, "Bro, I gotta mute you because I can hear metal music and screaming." Like, my bad, man, my bad.
Like, you're gonna give me nightmares. Just be my poor little child brain.
I gotta educate the kids these days, man. They're into mumble rappers, and I'm trying to teach them about how to worship.
I think. Oh my gosh. I think like. I think I had mentioned this before, but it really stands out even more now that I'm like thinking back through the different albums. Which it's funny how our playlist check-in has just turned into Sleep Token check-in, which I'm totally cool with. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But I feel like they were riding like a ton of momentum, you know, and building and building and building to take me back to Eden, which to me is kind of a masterpiece, like a really, really good album. I think that, and I'm nostalgic about Sundowning because that's like when I first discovered them. It was like their first full length.
Yeah.
But Take Me Back to Eden in terms of like the entirety of it, I would say is stronger. Like there's like maybe one skip on it and it's Vor. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what I've seen with Even in Arcadia is they peaked so hard with Take Me Back to Eden. It's really hard to overcome that. So it kind of just feels like Eden Part 2 to me. It's like very similar in the way the songs are. Like I feel like a lot of the songs are interchangeable, which is not a bad thing. I mean, their quality level is insane. Did you see that they were Billboard #1 on the charts? Like first alternative band in however long to have a #1 record. That's insane, dude.
And
like,
it's #1 in, I think it was like every continent right now. Like I saw maybe it was their account posted like they are literally #1. It was like, I want to say it was every continent. Which is insane.
I see people that don't even like aren't even in the scene, like not even like metal, like IRL people that aren't metal people posting Sleep Token songs and stuff. I'm like, whoa, like they've officially like broken through that barrier. You know what I mean? Where like even the nons are taking note and listening to it and like catching on. So it's pretty sick.
They eclipsed the genre, man, and it's sick. And maybe on the next episode we can talk about President because I have mixed feelings about that band coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it on the next one for sure. Yeah.
But we got some exciting stuff to talk about. We're just gonna dive right into pool play, pun intended.
Please.
You ready?
Yes. Let us dive.
Okay. Let us. Oh, I zoomed us in real close right there. Whoops, my bad. I got to share screen before I do that.
That's a nice face.
All right. Here are your pools for HCS DreamHack Dallas. We've got Pool A featuring Optic, TSM, Gen.G, and whichever open bracket team comes from the lower bracket. Pool B is Shopify, Nemesis, Omit, and another lower bracket team. Tell me about Pool C and Pool D.
Yeah, Pool C, we've got FaZe Clan, obviously. A little bit of a shocker there, right? FaZe being in the third position, but they outperformed Space Station at last event, so they now reign over Pool C. Pool C with Cloud9 and Zero Tenacity. Really looking forward to watching Cloud9, you know, seeing Lethal jump in there, see what he brings to the table. Pool D, though, that's where the boys are at. We got Space Station up on top. Envy, a team with a lot of hype right now. Once again, we're seeing a lot of hype for Envy, and then obviously us, Complexity, coming in number 12 seed, barely squeaking into pools once again. But man, I'm excited that we're jumping into pools first and foremost, Nick, because you know, a lot of people like to do predictions and say, well, I think this team will place this or this team will place this, but if you're not taking into account pools and where people are going to land, you're kind of just like just throwing stuff out into the wind with no backbone, right? So really important to get our pool predictions down first, then we can kind of see how we think the bracket will play out and who will end up where. How do you want to do this? You want to just go pool by pool and pick where we think people are going to fall? How do you want to do these predictions?
Okay, here's what we'll do. I'll do Pool A and C. You do pools B and D. That way I can abstain from a complexity prediction.
I love that. Not like I'm with Complex or anything like that either.
Yeah, obviously. Totally not. Completely not. Okay, so Pool A, Optic, TSM, Gen.G. I mean, we know who the favorites are. Optic, right? Like, I expect them to take this pool. If you look at the matchup between Gen.G and TSM, I think that'll be the more interesting matchup. You kind of have like a really fast-paced, chaotic play style in TSM that can either work really well or it doesn't. And then you've got a really controlled, I don't want to say by the book, but much more textbook play style in Gen.G. And when that works, like when those guys are on the same page, I mean, they reverse sweep us. So that's a tough one. I have to give it on paper to TSM
Yeah.
purely because I think that team just has more time and experience together. Um,
Well, they brought back
and
Manny, right, for a
they,
reason. They
yeah,
want to start the tournament out strong and prove that they made the right choice and bring them back. So I expect them to come out swinging as well.
but I don't want to count Genji out necessarily because I think we've seen like a Ryanu team can always make things happen, right? And clearly that team isn't a bad team. Like I said, they reverse swept us at the last event. Like when they find their flow, they look good. It's just a matter of them finding their flow. So I expect them to beat whichever team comes out of open bracket and make it
100%.
out of pools. But I think it'll be
100%.
Optic, TSM, Genji.
Yeah, I think also too for this pool, I was thinking through open, and this is like the loser coming out of open. No offense to them, whoever that will be, but it will be like your fourth place open team. So I don't really see anyone outside of maybe your top two in open even threatening the pool. So I would agree with your take that Optic, TSM, Genji kind of down the line. But I wanted to bring up Genji because I think we're going to start seeing maybe this event, if not this event, definitely next event, we're going to start seeing a little bit of that continuity boost where it's like they were one of the few teams that didn't make a change, right?
Yeah.
So they were able to like build on not just the things that they liked and the things that they feel like they did well, but also learn from their losses, take some lessons, and improve. And just from watching this team scrim, and I'm excited to see how the event kind of plays out for them. So jumping into Pool B. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just be boring and like pick the way it looks, but I mean, Shopify is winning that pool. I am interested to see the Shopify Nemesis matchup just because we see how well Nemesis matches up against Optic. But Shopify is a different beast, and I also think that Shopify is coming to this event a little different. We'll touch on them a little later when we get deeper into the predictions, but not necessarily the pool I want to be in. I'm interested in that Omit Nemesis matchup, right? Like that's like gonna be our first view of Omit at the event, and so I feel like with that team specifically, they're a little bit younger. I mean, Huss is extremely experienced and whatnot, but I would still consider Ezo and Mortally and even Collect like still pretty young esports players. Like they're in year 3 or 4 of their careers in the scene, and so will this team have it? Like if they have a bad showing on Friday, if they come out, if they're at the bottom of their pool waiting to play the open team 0-2, like how will that affect them mentally? Like, are they going to have what it takes to kind of lock in for Saturday and bounce back? You know what I mean? So I think that Omit Nemesis matchup is going to be really telling for their entire tournament based off of their experience. Personally, that's what I think. Also, open bracket, once again, like it's another losers team coming out. So I don't expect any open bracket shenanigans, but would love to be proven wrong, right? Everyone loves a good story about an underdog.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I think we can touch on that kind of near the end of our predictions too, because the open bracket is going to be pretty intense, I think. But going into Pool C, we have FaZe Clan with the number 3 seed or number 1 seed in their pool. I think the most interesting matchup is going to be between them and Cloud9. I think that Cloud9 adding on Lethal in place of Manny, who left for TSM, I think that might have a chance of elevating Cloud9 a little bit, just in terms of Boo Boo and Lethal have played a bunch together. Lethal is obviously a championship caliber player of his own, right? So maybe we'll see a slightly better form of Cloud9, who just got top 6 in Arlington. I don't think it'll be enough to count, to beat FaZe, but that's again me going off of what we saw in Arlington, right? So if FaZe for some reason doesn't come out firing, or Boo Boo comes into this matchup with a chip on his shoulder against Falcated or something like that, like maybe there's some sort of like blood rivalry there, right? Where Boo Boo's like, yo, we teamed together for such a long time and you ditched me for FaZe. Like, all right, I'm going to step up and prove to you why you shouldn't have left me, or I don't know what the story is.
We've seen Cloud9 do some freaky stuff on a Friday or a Saturday. You know what I mean?
That's the thing too. Like, you can never count out that Cloud9 roster. Like, if Sab and Septify can like start taking over and let Boo Boo just get shock and camo and run things, and Lethal is just a turret. Like,
all right, yeah. If Lethal's turreting, this Cloud9 team could really shake things up in the bracket for sure, and in pools.
Absolutely. And then you've got Zero Tenacity, which like we can't count out by any means, because they upset who'd they upset last event?
I am not sure, honestly.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna kick myself.
It wasn't Cloud9. No, it was TSM, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was TSM. It was TSM.
It was TSM. Yeah, they
so like,
TSM.
like, I mean, there's a chance, right? Where like I would say TSM and Cloud9 probably similar levels as teams.
Mm-hmm.
There's a world. There's a world where it's Cloud9 in third.
Yeah, and I at this point, when you get to Pool C and Pool D, I think things get really mixy. I think you're missing out one key component, and that is you got it all wrong because Luminon's coming out of open and getting first in that pool. Obviously, we got two of the Infinity Gauntlet gems, the two of the triplets coming out of open, probably in that winner's 2 spot. No, but in all seriousness, I do think that I think this is where we get into matchups, and we start talking about matchups all the time, right? I do see Cloud9 at least being able to like make a series interesting with FaZe. I'm not really willing to say they have a 50-50 shot. It's definitely not that, but like a Cloud, not like depending on how that day is going, if it's coming out, if it's a quick match, boom boom, you never know. Especially with like Lethal just won't go away, dude. Like I am done betting against that man in my life. I've lost enough to him and also money betting against him. So I would agree with your take on the way that pool kind of plays out. It could be Zero Tenacity or Cloud9 in second and third, but I do think FaZe will win that one.
Yeah. All right, well, hop Pool D.
Hopping into Pool D. Man, so here's the thing with Pool C and Pool D with FaZe and Space Station. I do think that out of the top 4 teams, both of these teams get a buff on LAN. Compared to, I think Optic and Shopify are both don't get me wrong, they're amazing LAN teams. They're the 2 best LAN teams that we have. But I also think that they kind of dominate online as well. Whether that just be internet or whatever, like they're very disciplined, both those teams, and you don't see much variance their online versus their LAN performance. Whereas like FaZe look like the best team in the world on Friday and Saturday last event. You know what I mean? Like they just powered all the way up. Penguin getting the LAN buff coming from the West Coast, as well as I think Suppressed as well. So I do see for Pool D Space Station. This is really interesting to predict, dude, because the way this pool plays out in my head comes down completely to matchups. Like I think the way Envy's been playing online, you're like, dang, like they might have a shot against Space Station, but I don't think they have any shot against Space Station online whatsoever.
Really?
But that matchup online has made things look a little bit more interesting than I think they will be. Yeah, I think Space Station dominates Envy on LAN, and I don't think it's close. I don't think like a team with Eco Snakebite, the way they view the game big picture, they're not going to let these players that are like kind of chaotic, running around, making solo plays, being fast on the map. Like they won't lose track of people, if that makes sense, and let like these guys kind of sneak one off of them or anything like that. So I still see Space Station. I actually think that we match up against Space Station better than that Envy roster does. Okay. But I'm gonna be, and here's where things get really interesting because I think it's gonna be Ether as the open bracket team coming out, and I think Ether and Envy have like the same play style. So I feel like their headbutt, like I could see Ether beating Envy, but I see us beating Ether. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it comes down to the way the matchups kind of play out. I think Space Station beats Envy and Ether pretty handily because I feel like those are 2 teams that play fast but aren't as talented as Shopify or Optic, and so I think Space Station they have a better big picture view of the game and they have the talent to back it up to where like Lucid, Eco, Snakebite, Stellar are no slouches when it comes to individual talent and just raw shots on the map.
Yeah.
And so I don't like worry. So with a team like Envy that wants to kind of like run and gun you, like I don't see that working out well for Space Station. So I'm gonna go Space Station on top of the pool.
I'm glad you got this pool.
I'm gonna go Space Station, Complexity, Ether, Envy, bro.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. I think Envy still. I think the land curse hits him still.
Okay.
But it wouldn't surprise me. It would surprise me. Like there's a world where Envy wins this pool, but at the same time, that would kind of shock me. I think they're more likely to get last in their pool than they are to get first in the pool.
Okay.
And obviously, I don't know what we're going to get with our squad. You have a lot better of a finger on the pulse than I do. We're obviously crossing our fingers and hoping to get the land buff as well to get blessed one of these events and actually show up 3 days in a row. With that being said, like until proven otherwise, specifically with Piggy Yak, I love those guys. They've got a lot of passion, and they've got a lot ahead of them in their career. Until proven otherwise, I'm going to predict them to get knocked out in pools in the last place.
I would argue that there is a world where it is us Envy in first, second in some combination, and SSG's in third.
The only way I see that happening is with some three-way tie thing.
I think that there's a world where Envy beats SSG. I think there's a world where we beat SSG. Because if you look at it, the matchups, I believe Envy plays SSG first match. Like the first match of Pool D is between those two teams. Mm-hmm. And then we play Space Station. So like let's just say Envy beats them and we then get to come in and like fight the injured animal, right? Mm-hmm. Like I think that we can match up well against Space Station regardless of them being 1-0 or 0-1. I think Envy has the harder job of fighting them first match of the tournament, and then we can ride that high when we play Envy. I think the Envy us matchup is going to be really interesting and really hype regardless, because obviously
it's also last match of the day. It's last match of the day.
Last match on side
station. Who's got like who's got the stamina to be ready to hit a side station match late at night on a Friday night after
we don't have an 8-hour break.
Yeah, so. I don't think that Space Station would respond to a loss as an injured animal, though. I think players like Lucid and Stellar would just get pissed off and go Super Saiyan, and that's like I feel like it would be worse. I feel like playing Space Station off of a loss would be worse for us than playing Space Station on 0-0-0-0.
I think that Space Station has looked rough online. I think that we saw bits of Stellar venting in APG's chat during one of his streams.
I did see that.
I think that there are issues going on like with that team right now, and scrim results are inconsistent because of it, right? Like they're 10-7 against FaZe. FaZe beats them 10-7. The next day, Shopify beats them 13-3. I was trying to see TSM beat them the day before 9-6. And again, these are scrim results. Ether goes 9-9 with them, which like. Ether have been pulling up in scrims lately, like online. So
always asterisks, bro. But I do think Ether has a shot at making it out of this pool. I'm not willing. Like you said, Space Station has struggled and looked inconsistent online. I would say we have too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I think this is the hardest pool to predict because I have absolutely no idea what version of these teams we're going to get. Envy's look like the best team in the game for the last couple of weeks, but I'm not willing or ready to crown Piggy and Yaxon as the best players online, like in the game at the moment. Yeah. But they've looked unbelievable, So I hope they prove me wrong because I would love to be able to predict them higher. But like the track record, the resume is starting to like catch up to them a little bit, like in that sense where I'm not willing to put them above Space Station. And even with SSG they're up and down, I would agree. You still got Lucid and Stellar over there who are on any like they're in that conversation. We talk about it like 5 best players in the world. Like you could tell me either of them are the best player in the world on any given day, and I'm not gonna debate you. I'm gonna say you're probably right. And I just think Snakebite he just has a way of figuring out how to win. You know what I mean? At the highest level. I don't like. I feel like Space Station coming in third in this pool would be one of the biggest upsets I've ever seen in pools. Whereas, like, I mean, maybe they could get second. In a situation like I said, maybe we get a 3-way tie. Maybe we get a 3-way tie, and somehow we or Envy squeak out first in the pool, and Space Station ends up second or third. But I'm not willing to knock them down out of fourth just yet.
I think that's valid. I mean, like based on the tenure of those players, I think that's valid. I think if you go purely based on scrim results, which there's some like pencil pushing Redditor right now like thinking that way. It would be Envy and then either us or Ether, assuming that Ether comes into our pool, and then Space Station. And I think that like that's purely because if you look at scrim results, Envy is the best team in the game, or I mean they're the third best team in the game. We've been looking consistently better and better, like tying in maps against FaZe, beating Gen G like 12-2 yesterday. I don't even remember the other scrims. Taking 3 maps off Optic, taking 3.25 maps off Shopify. Like there's growth on our trajectory. Envy's staying consistently really strong. and Space Station has looked very inconsistent. So based on that, I would say Envy, us, envious, Envy, Complexity, Space Station, and then like I said, if Ether comes into our pool, they've looked really good, and I could see them like again based on scrim results, they knock us down a peg, which puts Space Station top 16.
Yeah,
but I agree with you in the fact that I know, right? That's crazy to say out loud, but I agree with you in the fact like I don't think that's a fair prediction. I think that whole Space Station team levels up on LAN, and
I think it will be highly competitive.
It will. I think it's
highly
one of the most
competitive,
pools.
especially with Ether. If I'm predicting that right, like I think Ether would be number 1 seed in AM, and I think they would go straight into that pool. Like
I don't think they have number 1 seed in open bracket, which is why I wanted to touch on open bracket.
Okay, can we do we know what the seeds are in open? Because then that would mean Ether isn't going to be coming into our pool, which would make me feel a lot better, to be honest.
Let me see if I can find those, or if somebody in chat knows them and can link them or send them to me.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that North America still gets the number 1 seed in open, and so it would be what, like Envor's team most likely having the highest seed.
Okay, that's
but if Mind Freak or Ether beat one of the North American teams like for one of those qualifying matches, then they would get that spot. I think that's how it works.
Well, if you're a top 2 seed, like even if they're second seed, they're going to go to pool C. So they would have to literally be outside the top 4. I see. Like they would have to be like 3rd or 4th seed in open to have a shot at coming into pool D with us, because then they would have to play. You know what I mean? They would have to play up to the 1. So I'm interested to see what those open seeds are going to look like. Regardless, I feel for any team that has Ether coming in. Like I really do believe in those players. I think they're unbelievable. I think the breakout's been on the horizon for a long time. And so it's only a matter of time, especially with how they've stuck together and stuck it out and continue to improve week on week on week on. I
it's a scary
don't
pool.
envy the team that has to play them. Yeah, and it's a really scary pool. And when I think about the journey to top 8, top 6, top 4, like you definitely want to be in first or second of your pool coming out. Like you don't want to start your championship bracket in losers and be playing teams that are technically seated above you that are dropping down, right? Like you want to play down your bracket, not play up your bracket. So we got our work cut out for us for sure.
Okay, so the seeding order for the top 4 teams in open bracket are Dark Inside with number 1 seed, BH3, which is the European team, Bastos, Moz, Septic, and Sunriz for number 2 seed, Ether with number 3 seed, Mind Freak with number 4.
Okay, so I think Ether then is going to be second. So I think they're going to get pool C.
Yeah,
I think Ether's going to go into that 0 because they're going to play 2-3. They're going to beat Bastos and them.
Absolutely.
To make it out. So I think they would probably get pool C then.
I think it'll depend on the Dark Inside Mind Freak matchup, because theoretically those 2 teams should play each other to advance.
Exactly.
And I'm pretty sure at Arlington that's what happened. Mind Freak won. And so Dark Inside qualified through lower bracket, but that makes Ether the highest seed coming out of open
Gotcha.
bracket.
So they rearrange it when people come out based on their points.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
I believe
so you don't take their position in the bracket. You like get out and then they stack everyone. So yeah, Ether then could so then it comes down to like a number of different things have to play out a certain way.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ether, they're a threat. I mean, any pool you put them in, they're a threat. So
yeah, for sure.
Really be interested to see how that open plays out.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. But now that we've talked about pools, are you ready to do predictions?
100%.
Oh yeah, okay.
100%. I'm excited about this. This is the bread and butter right here. This is what we came for.
Let's
people want to watch.
Let's swap to the little placements graphic that we've made.
Shout out Ashes, the graphic designer.
See if I can swap these around and not make me the full screen. Okay, let's try this again. Let's try this again.
We're just some guys being bros, being dudes.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our 12 team logos. Obviously, this doesn't count open bracket teams. So if you want me to type in, I can type in, Ether wins the event. But,
No, this is
let's
fine.
go ahead. Let's go ahead and start. Who do you think wins the? Or do you want to start from the bottom up?
Let's start
or
from
do
the
you wanna-
bottom. We gotta start from the bottom. We gotta go 9 through 12.
All right, Drake, go for it.
Let's maybe let's break it down into the what am I trying to say? The groups. So like 9 through 12, and then 7, 8,
Yeah.
and then 5,
Yeah,
6.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's valid.
So let's just each throw a couple teams in 9 through 12. I'm gonna throw Zero Tenacity in there.
Okay.
I think pretty safe pick for 9 through 12. I'm gonna throw Envy in 9 through 12 as well.
Okay. No
which
particular order here. Just
I know
putting the
some
logos
folks
on.
are not gonna be stoked about. I'm gonna throw Complexity in 9 through 12.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do Omit in 9
Omit.
through 12 as
Okay.
well. Yeah. Those are my picks. I haven't seen enough from us yet to have faith. I've been let down too many times, so I'm going in low
trust issues?
expectation. I'm going low expectations, like you said, and then anything better than that, I'll be stoked. Pool play cannot be more important for us than it is at this event. It's too important to start the weekend off right, and we've seen with our track record, even starting the weekend off right, sometimes we come in flat on Saturday and it's all for nothing. So I want to be proven wrong there by Complexity, but we'll have to wait and see. Zero Tenacity has been getting 13-0'd by the other team in EU, which is Nemesis. So scrim results have not been super kind to that team, but they are super talented. They're really talented, man. I mean, I believe in Sika and Chick. I just don't know if this roster as constructed has reached its full potential yet, or will in time for this event.
Okay.
With Omit and Envy, those are like those teams are riding high. I mean, they're kind of honeymooning right now, but I think they're going to get tested here on LAN, and I do think that they are lacking in veteranship on both those rosters overall.
Okay.
So, and yeah, I had to place these teams like this because I do think Gen.G, I'll get to them later, but I think Gen.G it's going to pay off the fact that they've had more time with Ryan Noob going over every single strategy for every single situation on every map and game type combo, to where there's like not going to that team has very little question marks in game. As things are playing out with Envy and Omit, I think there are a ton of question marks, but they're so talented that they kind of overpower a lot of situations. Whereas on LAN, things are a little bit more, I don't know, punishing, like a little, not necessarily slower, but things are a lot tighter on LAN. And so the more question marks you have as a roster, the more holes you have to exploit. And I think, a team like Gen.G is going to exploit them with the experience there and the continuity. So that's my 9 through 12 pick. I'll throw it to you now to see where you got everyone landing.
Yeah, I'm realizing now that as I'm like listening to you and thinking through, there are 4 teams in Pool D that I would put in the top 12. And so obviously that's not possible because somebody has to go get eliminated because we've decided that is our rules for whatever reason. So I'm not bitter. I don't think this is the event where Ether breaks top 8, but I think it's on the horizon. Like, I think the trajectory that they've shown is that they will break the top 8. I just don't think this is the event where it happens.
I wish we had their logo. I would have thrown them in there somewhere. I don't know.
I know. But, so I'm just going to type them in and drag them. Oh, that drags the whole thing over. Well, they're there.
Yeah. We got it.
This.
There you go.
Ether.
Good old space bar.
Yeah, good old space bar. I agree with you on the Zero Tenacity thing. I think Zero Tenacity gets in the top 12, but I don't. Their pool is. Yeah, I don't see them losing to whichever second unless for some reason Ether goes to C, in which case Zero Tenacity gets top 16.
Yeah. Dang, that's crazy.
Which is crazy to think about, but I think Ether has the edge. Yeah. I think Ether gets more reps of good practice, where Zero Tenacity's practice is lose the Nemesis, lose the Nemesis, lose the Nemesis, beat up the number 3 team, lose the Nemesis, lose. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So true.
I think Omit gets top 12. Okay, I agree with you there. I'll throw that one in. I don't know why I made their logo so small over here. And then I am between Envy and Gen.G. I think I'm gonna put Gen.G.
Dang. You haven't been proven wrong by Ryan Noob enough yet, Nick, in your life.
I know. I'm gonna eat these words, and Common's gonna say some shit to me again. But like, I'm picturing a matchup between Gen.G and Envy. Damn, I really don't know who wins that. That's really tough. Like, part of me, I can argue it either way. Like, I think there's much more consistency on the Gen.G end on the Ryan Noob system, but just raw firing power, right? Like, it's so hard to count out Precision and Descendant. It's so hard. Like, that's just so much damage.
I feel like outside of the top 4, it's really hard to shut down those two players. You know what I mean? And we've talked about Ethan so much. Like his ceiling is so unbelievably high. I think Ethan could have the event of his life and literally will his team to top 6. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was not easy to put them down there for me for sure.
I think okay. I might change this answer. I think I might put Envy.
Okay.
I don't want to count out the Ryan Noob system.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, I'm thinking more and more about the reps on it and like how confident. Like,
that's what I'm saying. The question
Ryan
mark
gets better on LAN. I think Nick gets better on LAN. I think that
Nick is a different player on LAN, bro.
Yeah, I think that whole team gets better on LAN. So, whereas I haven't seen that out of like all of Envy yet. So, okay.
And again, like I hope they prove us wrong, right? Like they have the 5th seed again, 2nd event in a row. Like hoping for a better finish this time than the last time, but until proven otherwise, like I got to go with the tried and true. You know,
I want it to be us and them coming out 1st and 2nd, right? So this is by no means me not rooting for my boys Descendant and Precision. You know, I will be there cheering for them when they play Space Station, but I don't know. It's tough. I can absolutely see a world where they smash Gen.G, and I can absolutely see a world where the same stuff happens to them that happened to us, where Gen.G is just like, oh yeah, okay, we figured it out, and they reverse sweep.
Yeah.
So, okay, your turn. Top
cool.
Or 7th, 8th.
Yeah, for 8th, throw Gen.G in there.
Okay.
Again, Ryan Noob system. I think they figured out on LAN. I don't think they've had enough time. Not time. I don't think they have the firepower quite yet to hit that top 6. Would love to be proven wrong, obviously, but big fan of the roster. Big fan of Ryan. Big fan of Common. Love to see Common just can stay with it for so long and start to have some more success and to be with someone like Ryan. So, breaking shot. Absolute beast on the map, and I see them kind of continuing to solidify that top 8, that wall, like not letting any, like they're the gatekeepers of top 8. In 7th, I'm going to put Cloud9.
Okay, interesting. You're taking them down with the addition of Lethal.
I'm taking them down, and it's not because of Lethal. I would love to be.
You said it's all Lethal's fault.
I mean, it's completely Lethal's fault. No, I have to put them here because I already know who I want in my top 6. So
okay,
that really is it. And Cloud9, they might be the hardest team to predict out of all the teams here, right? Like, would we be shocked if they got top 4? Not really. Like, we'd be like, oh dang, like Cloud9 did the Cloud9 thing again. Would we be shocked if they got knocked out of their pool in last? Like, oh man, they did the Cloud9 thing again. So I'm going to be safe and put them right in the middle of the bunch there. And in 7th, 8th, I think they got too much talent to get knocked out top 12.
Okay.
I think they got too much talent to get knocked out in their pool. But do I think they have more talent than Nemesis? Probably not. Do I think they have more talent than any of the top 4? Probably not. TSM, probably not. So yeah, this is my safe prediction. I'm sticking them in the middle. I hope that they, don't make me look like an idiot.
I think that's fair. All right. I agree with. Oh, wait, hold on. I just realized that I need to, because somebody's not going to advance because I've brought Ether up. I just realized that.
True.
Ooh, I might have screwed myself. Okay, so then who doesn't advance? If
It's us,
Ether,
bro. If you look at the teams that are left on your list, and you're trying to pick which one of those teams.
It's between Omit and Zero Tenacity.
Oh, you're gonna bounce one of those guys. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I'm gonna bounce one of those guys. I think. I'm gonna say Zero Tenacity only because there's a chance that Ether goes in their pool.
Okay.
If Ether goes in their pool,
Yeah.
I don't think Zero Tenacity makes it out of pools. So I'm gonna remove them.
Okay.
And line that up. And I will bring in. I had Ether in, so that means I need to put one of these teams in top 12. Oh, it all comes down to matchups. I'm gonna say Cloud9.
Oh man. All right. So you're even lower on Cloud9 than me. It's clearly Lethal's fault, right? Why do you think Cloud9 sucks with Lethal?
It's man, we're trying so hard to get clips out of this. Here's why I think Cloud9 sucks at HCS DreamHack Dallas. No, I don't think it's that they suck. I think it's just that they're wildly inconsistent. I mean, again, scrim results are scrim results, but just take yesterday, for example. They lose to Gen G like 3-2 or something like that, and it was like close maps. And one of those maps, like they choked at 249 to like 100 and ended up losing 250 to 249.
Oh,
Gen
gosh.
G. Yeah, rough. And then we beat Gen G 11-2.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know, you know what I mean? But like, I just haven't seen consistent good results out of Cloud9 to warrant like, I think to me, it's like who between them and TSM, who's top 8? It's TSM in my mind. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So again, and we know that Cloud9 is like, they could be a top 6 team or they could be a top 16 team. Like it just depends on which version of them shows up. Mm-hmm. And I would love to put them in the middle like you did, but I can't. So because I believe in Ether and you don't apparently. So
wow, you didn't even give me the option. I didn't see their logo in the team. No, don't text Nugget. Don't show Nugget the clip.
I believe in you, Nugget. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so yeah, that's that. That's how I'll make that swap. And then I am going to put. I agree with you on Gen G. I think they are the gatekeepers of the top 8. You shall not pass unless you beat them. And then
you think Gen G beats Envy?
Yeah, we talked about this.
Okay.
I think that there's a world where Envy could be up 2-0 and get reverse swept just like we did.
Okay.
Just because there's that instability on LAN.
I also think that there's something that a lot of folks don't think about, and this is absolutely a factor with Ryan. Ryan remembers players' tendencies that he's teamed with. Ryan, he's approaching this like a lot of folks do, like high level athletes do, where he's like, this player is coming off spawn first. He's going to make this type of play. And he's thinking about all these things as it's going along, which is absolutely freaking insane. He's keeping track of everybody, especially people that he's teamed with in the past where he knows their tendencies. He's going to spawn and go right. Like he literally is on top of that. So that Envy matchup, I mean, obviously he's in the mix.
And realistically, like if they somehow play each other, it'd probably be lower bracket. And I think it would be, it's either going to be a 3-0 for Envy or it's going to be a 3-2 for Gen G. Like, I don't see it going 3-1 either way. I don't see it going 3-0 in Gen G's favor. I think it's either going to be Envy just dominates them and looks on LAN how they have online, or Gen G's going to find their Ryan new magic. They're going to trust in that, like, 50% of the old United roster, and they're going to breaking shots skill and Commons, like, you know, the ability to be a great support player, and they're going to make something happen.
Yeah.
That being said, I need to pick a number 7. And
I already know who you're going to pick and you're out of your mind, just so you know.
I am going to pick TSM.
Yep, you're out of your mind. Yep.
I'm going to pick TSM. I think that it's, in my mind, given like how I've seen us progress and how like what I've seen out of TSM, I think it's between us and them in a head-to-head matchup. And I genuinely think that we can win that if we show up playing well. Like if we show up playing how I know we can. If we show up how we did, you know, Saturday in Arlington, then I think they smoke us. But I obviously want to have faith in my team, and I am biased, so
Oh, 100%.
therefore I have us winning that
Well,
matchup.
much like I would say Envy gets the revenge buff against us, I think that we get the revenge buff against TSM.
Oh, for sure. We have 2 players with chips on their shoulders against that team
Yeah,
in particular,
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
So I think that is a huge factor when it comes to that head-to-head matchup. And
Also, statistically, like if you go back and look at Arlington, we took their best player.
yeah,
So,
100%.
We'll see.
I respect it. That's a good pick.
I'm
That's a good
biased,
pick.
but I can acknowledge that I am biased. If you look at these predictions, it is definitely plagued on my side with personal bias, but I wouldn't be a good coach if I didn't have bias.
Yeah, you should be biased. I'm just the guy that's willing to be impressed. I'm waiting to be impressed. Like if you don't impress me, I'm not predicting you anywhere near.
You're not going to hang out with me?
Probably think you should be. Well, I mean, I'm going to hang out with you pretty much. You're pretty much the only reason I'm going to this event. Let's be honest. I was just thinking about it. I wasn't like crazy excited about being there until right now. Like when we were on the show, I was like, wait, I'm gonna be hanging with Nick this weekend. It's gonna be sick. And then I got excited. So I'm really excited. All right, 6. Give me TSM.
TSM, okay.
I got them 5th, 6th. I love them getting Manny, going back to the roots. It's almost like, why did you waste so much time playing around with all these other people? All of them, you know what I mean? Just to come right back to where it should have been. Like, I know it's hard to be with the same people and to constantly run into the same issues and have these same plateaus, but like, imagine where they would be if they'd never split from Halo 5 into year 1 into now. Like, so for them to finally come back around to that, I'm really excited about it. I think also too, like we've seen, like there's just something about like a team that signs to a new org, like a huge org, they always blow at their first event. So I think like this event, they're a little more settled now. You know what I mean? They're like, okay, cool. Like let's wrap the brand well. And so I have them 5th, 6th. Now is where things get really fun. In 5th, put Space Station in there.
Oh, okay. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I feel like my child is all grown up.
Okay.
Tell me why I want to be proud of you.
Yeah. So one of the things that you and I talked about after last event, in regards to ourselves more than anything else, was like, we're not in a place anymore where the results online are that far removed from online. And with how much struggle I've seen out of the Space Station roster, the fact that the pieces haven't quite fit. Like I was expecting to see a little bit more of a fit there at this point than we are seeing, sadly. If anything, it seems like it's almost getting harder for them to kind of find that flow together. I think that opens the door to some of these teams that are like red hot, which when I get into my top 4, obviously we'll talk about teams that I think are red hot. And so for that, I do think that Space Station is vulnerable this event. And if there was a time to knock them out of the top 4, it would be now. And so I'm going to make a bold prediction and say they get 5th, 6th.
Who's the problem?
Player-wise?
Yeah. Give me those clips.
Yeah, I know you're just trying to farm me like as if I don't get roasted on Twitter enough as it is.
Give me the clips.
No, I think that I think the problem is Eco and Snakebite.
Okay.
Not that any one of them in particular. I think it's like you have 2 like almost carbon copy versions on the same team. However, they have like different views on things. Like they're both that leadership role. They're both like captain of the ship. They're both, incredible what they do. But I don't think that their views line up. And so I think from the captain perspective, it just like trickles down to the rest of the team where there's just like uncertainty. Like they're not sure of themselves in moments, if that makes sense, and that has to start with leadership. And when I think about leadership, I think about Eco and Snakebite. So we have seen Snakebite and Eco win an event together before. I don't know if you know this on LAN, but they teamed with Eco 2019 Halo 3 Throwback St. Louis when we went back to the OGs. There was an event that I believe it was either Frosty or APG couldn't attend, and they picked up Eco and they won that event. And so it's not like they're strangers to winning together. They can absolutely make it happen. But with how highly competitive and, like I said, how hot some of these teams are, I think it's going to be hard. I think that there's still a long road ahead for this team. So 5th, unfortunately, is my prediction. Again, I will probably be proven wrong on this one. They might just win the whole thing. Who knows?
All right, give me one more clip. If you had to play fantasy esports manager for Space Station Halo, who would you drop and who would you pick up? Obviously, you can't touch the top 3.
Well, I think the reason they haven't made a change is because you can't pick anyone from the top 3. Like, who are you going to get? You know what I mean? Outside of that. Let me look at the rosters. Let me think. You know, it'd be wild, dude. I'm gonna make a crazy one. I'm gonna say Eco and Stellar are never breaking up. Ever. Lucid and Stellar are still in that conversation. Okay, I'm trading Snakebite for Sparty.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think we could use the leadership 1,000%. I think we could use someone that, you know, is that calming presence, that someone that's been there over the hump that could bring us back. But I think Sparty, surrounded by players I think Sparty plays to the level of his teammates, and I think that having him with world-class, you know, best in the whole world players on his team, he would also return to that kind of version of Sparty that we've seen in the past, where it's like, dang, that's the best player in the game. He's making all the right reads. He's motivated. He's hitting all his shots. So yeah, I think Space Station with Sparty would be crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is not what I was expecting, but
what did you think? I'm like, there's not really anyone to go for, you know what I mean, outside of the top 3. Like, who? That's, like I said, that's why I think they haven't made a change.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I agree with you. Like, I think it would first come down to like a conversation with Stellar, going like, okay, are you and Eco like a package deal? Because I think you need to keep Stellar on that team.
100%.
If he says yes, he's a package deal with Eco, then I think that puts Snakebite on the chopping block. But then again, like if you look at like Reddit and like all the people who are like reading into this, like as diehard Space Station fans, like a lot of people are saying Lucid's the problem. So
you can think he's the problem all you want, but like he's a problem on the map. I don't care what anybody says. And my whole view of Lucid is like, I'm just going to sound like the biggest fanboy, you know, episode 9 of the show's continuing to talk about this player, but Ryan Noob literally told me like, it doesn't matter. Like, so there was a game where Lucid went like, dude, it was like a year or two ago. Lucid dropped like 39 and 20 something in an oddball recharge game. Like he was almost plus 20, or he might've been plus 20 even. And I looked at Ryan and I were standing next to each other watching it. And I was like, yo, like, is he overslaying? Like, what's the deal here? Is he like getting dumb kills? Why aren't they winning? He was like, absolutely not. When someone goes plus 20 on your team, you have to win. It's his whole team's fault. All of his teammates failed him that game. I was like, okay, cool. Like, good to know. He's like, when you're doing that much on the map, your teammates have to be able to capitalize on the openings, period, and like get you a win in that situation. He was like, I don't care what he was doing. I don't care where he was. I don't care what plays he was making. The man went plus 20 for you, win that game. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And so I think the Lucid Stellar duo, like we haven't seen that. We don't even consider that a duo. When they finally figure it out together, like it's like Luka and LeBron, you know, like when they finally figure that out, it's going to be unstoppable.
For sure.
Talent, you know, I don't think they have yet, and so whatever it takes to get them in a place where they can lock together, it'll be nice.
Yeah, I like your idea of Sparty. I think that would work. That wasn't even one I was considering, because you know I consider us a top 4 team, and I said you can't touch the. I was almost thinking. I was thinking a young gun, and then one name stood out to me.
Okay.
And based on my grin, I think you know who that name is. Because
obviously, yeah.
He is not currently on a top 4 team, but he should be, because he is the mouse and keyboard god himself.
Oh yeah, and I already knew you were gonna go.
Space Station has already imported EU before. Bring on Wootum and go win events. I'm not kidding.
Is insane. Like, Wootum is insane.
If you put Wootum on that team and you have like, let's just say Snakebite's on the chopping block because Stellar and Eco are package deal. Again, you have Eco, Stellar, Lucid, and Wootum.
You become the fastest team in history at that point, bro.
Like, that's so scary.
Yeah, that's an insane
That's
team.
such a scary team. And then the question would be, where does Snakebite go? Like that would cause a crazy roster mania.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not like you get it. I was just going off the straight 1-for-1 trade idea, like, because
Yeah.
the reality is when you drop, you don't ever do trades as teams. When you drop someone, it creates an insane ripple effect, especially when it's someone from a top 4 team, top 6 team. So yeah, that was actually like my initial thoughts. I was thinking about that. I was gonna go with Woodham or one of the other guys from Nemesis, but no, I really do think that Sparty is talented enough to win events at the highest level, especially when he's motivated, especially when
Oh, for
he
sure.
has that belief. And so I thought that I would love to see him in that situation.
Yeah, I just don't want to lose Sparty.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I
He
agree
lost
with you.
enough
Like
people.
yeah, right. I think that he would like fill that gap well, and he has the same veteran experience as all those guys on that team. Like maybe the same respect. I don't know, how the feelings are between those players and him, and vice versa. But
And this isn't
yeah.
me saying we need to drop Snakebite either, just so that people on Reddit or anywhere don't get it twisted. We were just talking about trades, like
Hypotheticals.
like you don't drop Snakebite.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what team you are, I don't care what your placing is. Like you don't drop Snakebite. So it was just like a hypothetical trade.
That team needs like how like corporations do like corporate retreats.
Yeah.
That's what that team needs. I think they need like a good old fashioned like week in a cabin somewhere, like land it up, sitting side by side for a week, and like just bond and figure their stuff out. Like I'm seeing them play twos during the day, but it's Stellar plus Stellar plus well, why am I drawing a blank on his name? He played for us, and Tusk. Stellar plus Tusk versus Snakebite plus Looking for One, like in the pro chord. And
yeah.
it's like,
I saw Snakebite and Bound playing at one point in time. Yeah, it was like, yeah.
Play with each other. Like you clearly need the synergy. Like,
yeah.
But,
get Lucid and Stellar in these twos matches together. Like seriously, like you get like that would be key right there. So
but who knows? Maybe it's too far gone at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to do my 5th, 6th place.
Please bless us.
Who do I have left? I have Nemesis. I have Space Station, us, FaZe. All right, so that makes sense. Like top 6 teams. Okay. I want to be bold. I want to be really bold. Not with us.
I tried to be bold last event, and my predictions were completely wrong because of it. So
okay, so I'm gonna give us top 6.
Okay.
I'm trying to be conservative and not overly biased. Like I think that our team has the potential to like break into the top 4 if like we're just playing out of our minds. But I think just logically speaking, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks as a team, whatever it's been, is not enough time to really break consistently into the top 4. So I think top 6 is safe in that regard, and people probably think I'm faded for putting us up there, but whatever. And then I agree with you on the Space Station.
No way.
I agree with you on the Space Station.
Let's go.
I'm going to put Space Station in the top, in that 5th through 6th.
We have a matching pick.
But
now it doesn't look now it doesn't look as special though. If they actually do get 5th, it doesn't look like, dang, look, Hunter made a crazy prediction. He was right. It's like, oh, they made a prediction together. They collaborated.
Well, it's just like I think Nemesis whoops Space Station's ass. So that's where my theory, like because I don't know the bracket, I'm just thinking in hypothetical matchups, and it's like, okay, Nemesis was 5th, 6th, Space Station was 4th.
Well, I was putting it as like Nemesis is going to be a 2nd in the pool, and Space Station will be in 1st in the pool. So like, I think that what their pools are, I think they actually do match up.
No, D plays C, A plays B.
That's right. They do it weird. Okay.
Yeah, they do it weird. So like realistically, it would be Space Station versus, Cloud9, Zero Tenacity, Ether. It could be a whole lot of different things.
Okay, gotcha. Which we have them winning that anyways.
Yeah. I mean, Cloud9 could win it, but I don't think Space Station goes out like top 12.
Of course.
I think like worst case scenario for them would be top 8, and that's if like they just got the worst possible matchups in bracket.
One of the things that we don't talk about enough on Space Station, it's like, where's Elamite been? He just like not like, I know he's obviously still the coach, but like he seems so far from the conversation nowadays. Like I don't even know if he's actively involved in it. Like I know he is,
Yeah.
obviously that's his job, but you don't see him as much like before with their roster last year. Like he was watching their tournaments and films literally every morning in his stream, talking about
Mhm.
different things, breaking things down. Like you just don't really see it anymore. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
almost like having so much leadership on the team has kind of pushed his voice to the side. At least that's my perspective of it. I could be completely wrong.
Oh, I mean, or
But
there's a world where it's like it's easy to make that content when you're winning everything. It's harder to make that content when you're watching the film and you're just seeing so many mistakes that you don't want to talk about it
Yeah,
publicly.
true. I don't like watching my film where I'm losing either. If I'm being real, like yeah, I watch them back. Obviously, I watch them back, but
Yeah.
it's not nearly as fun as watching the film back when you're winning.
Yeah. Okay. Fourth place.
Baddest new brand on the block. Give me that Nemesis. Throw them up there. I think they come into this event and they put belt to ass of a lot of these teams,
I love that.
and troll the whole way doing it. They've got a sick roster. I think the last event, if anything, built confidence for them. They were like a couple of game fives away from insanity. You know what I mean? And so, having been that close already, I see them coming out swinging, coming out strong. It was hard to pick between third or fourth for them, to be honest. Like, because I see a world where they push FaZe to the absolute limit, or maybe even beat FaZe in a game five. But wanted to, show them some love here in the predictions. I thoroughly enjoy their style of play, like watching them play, like the speed they're on the map with, the amount of influence they have, while still seemingly being completely in control is insane. And they've, I under predicted them last event, not making the same prediction. If anything, this event, I'm down to over predict them, and I got them coming in fourth. So that's my spot.
I am going to not agree with you.
Okay.
I think that FaZe gets fourth.
I was on the fence about it, so I don't hate your prediction, but walk me through your thought process on this one.
My thought process is FaZe was the first team, if I remember correctly, that beat Nemesis at the last event.
Mm-hmm.
But Nemesis played FaZe like near the end of a very long day because they had their match interrupted because of the power issue, and they had to start at the ass crack of dawn the next morning to finish off Optic. I'm thinking like they went. I'm thinking that they had to go into that matchup probably pretty tired.
Yeah.
So now that being said, I don't think they boot camped before this event, which they boot camped before Arlington, and so that could cause some other jet laggy-esque issues. But I am still going to say that if it's a well-rested, well-fed, ready-to-go Nemesis who's prepped, because I think FaZe caught a lot of people off guard. At least, maybe, unless I'm like a minority in this mindset, like I thought FaZe looked rough in script. Like they kind of looked in scrims how Space Station looks right now. And they're kind of doing it again. I'm just not falling for it again.
Mm-hmm.
Like we played them and it was 7-6 and they didn't look good.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking like, okay, like maybe just the level of effort in scrims is not the same level of effort. Like maybe this is a team that truly just like kicks it into overdrive when they get to LAN events. And so I'm going to give them that credit, not fall for the bait that they've been kind of laying down in scrim results, and say that they're still going to be a really strong team like they were in Arlington. But I think if Nemesis is well rested, they can beat FaZe just like they beat Optic.
Cool. Well, why don't you throw FaZe in my third and Nemesis in your third?
Okay.
Since we've already talked about that matchup there. And I would agree. I think it could go either way. I'm happy though that we're making different picks here because it makes things more interesting. And we'll see. Like, how far does MNK supremacy go, Nick? How far up a bracket can you get
to the moon, baby?
With the baddest boy on the keyboard. You know what I mean? The baddest arm aimer around. So yeah, I can't fault you for that, but I still think FaZe. I don't know, man. I want to see FaZe do better. To be honest, I want to see them in the finals, but it's just so freaking hard. Like the top two teams. If we talk about like gatekeeping certain things, I think the grand finals basically this whole year are going to be gatekept by Optic and Shopify. You know,
oh, yeah.
I originally predicted that Space Station would win one. Shopify would win one and Optic would win the rest. But I don't even think Space Station gets a win anymore.
You're walking that one back.
No, I'm gonna stand on my business, but I'm just gonna be wrong. But yeah, I think the top two is locked down, which gets us to our grand finals, Nick. Yeah. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first on this one? What do you think?
I see. Okay, here's the thing, and this again comes down to like bracketology. Nemesis beat Optic 3-2. Sorry, that was Space Station. What did they beat him in pool play? It was 3-1, 3-0.
3-1, yeah, 3-1.
And then in bracket play, they lost to them 3-2, in the lower bracket.
Yeah.
If there's a world where Nemesis matches up against Optic, it could not be Optic in the finals.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're really talking, and I remember watching that Slayer game 5, there was moments where Nemesis teetering. Was
it was teetering. It was not. It was a scary one if you're an Optic fan, for sure.
And I don't think Optic is going to be fooled again. Quote,
I was going to say, put Optic in second for me. Just put him in second.
Okay.
I have Optic getting second this event. Champion. I would say championship hangover, but that's fake because those guys have all won. They're incredible champions, but they did at least from my perspective, take their foot off the gas after they won that last event. We didn't see them scrimming as much. Didn't see them as motivated to be on and playing. Didn't see them as actively involved, and they skipped all the opens. There's little details like that. Whereas, Shopify lost that and we're not stoked, and immediately we're back on the grind, back to work kind of deal.
Yeah.
Optic doesn't have the buff of being in their own building to blow up their own generator when things are going badly. But it's still Texas. They're still gonna have a buff. I'm not gonna act like there's not gonna be a million Optic fans there. But that's the main reason I want them to get second, is because there's gonna be a bunch of Optic fans there, and nothing makes me happier than watching them all leave the venue crying. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Optic in second. And obviously that puts Shopify in first for me on my predictions. I think they get it done this event. I think Last Shot and Cycle now, if you watched the finals of last event, they started to find their footing really late in that series. The Young Guns did. And I think now, having been there, it doesn't take them as long to get acclimated to the finals. I think they're ready to go this time.
Yeah. Which, funnily enough, in that final, or one of those final Slayers, it wasn't those two. It was Frosty and Royal 2 who were struggling.
Yeah, it was.
So,
yeah.
Okay. I think, because you brought up a good point that I hadn't thought about, and that's Optic fans.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically a home event for them. Let's be honest.
100%,
CDL
100%.
is in the building.
Dude. Yeah.
I had not considered CDL being in the building this whole time, and I think the Optic fans,
you're gonna have shots. So you're gonna have everybody there from both fan bases, bro.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure our stage is right across from their area kind of stuff. So those fans are just gonna be sitting on swivel chairs right between the two.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, so I think if Optic does not match up against Nemesis, that Optic wins the event, and that puts Shopify in second. I don't think Nemesis can beat Shopify. It's this weird
it's matchups.
Nemesis can't beat Shopify, but Nemesis can beat Optic. Optic can beat Shopify, but might lose to Nemesis. And I think there is a world where Shopify wins it, but I think the green wall is going to be that if it's a 50-50 right now between Optic and Shopify, I think
they'll get 1 percentage point. Yeah, they got at least one.
The green wall makes it 51-49. So
yeah.
I think Optic wins it, assuming they don't run into Nemesis.
Yeah, I think here's the way I'm going to put it. If Shopify doesn't get it done this event, I think Optic runs away with the rest of the season, to be honest.
Really?
There was that team, that roster that Optic put together is so strong on paper that if you didn't catch them early on in a season before they, I felt like they figured it out midway through last event, right? There was a moment where their whole event was teetering. I think it might have been that Nemesis series. We're dang, are they about to get top 6 or whatever it was? And all of a sudden they dug deep in a game they were down and came back in a series, and it was oh shoot, they found it, right? And so I think they're going to come into this event with that already, rolling and kind of firing on all cylinders. And so, for the sake of the rest of the scene, like they need to lose this event or that's it. I think they're just going to dominate. They're only going to at least maintain or get better from where they're at, So, yeah, I'm interested to see that matchup. I mean, dude, that is one of the sickest matchups I've ever watched.
Yeah.
In Comp Halo. Like that literally feels like I'm a little casual civilian watching the Avengers battle, battle Thanos or something above me. I'm just like, wow, look at them. They're so amazing. Like everyone's just like,
I want to
they're
be a
just
superhero one day.
Yeah, literally, it feels like watching a Clash of Titans. So, at the end of the day, I don't have a horse in that race. I'm Complexity till I die. But it is really fun to watch those two teams go to war against each other.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you got to give props where props are due. Those two teams are obviously the leaders of the pack, even if they have some weaknesses that they show. And funnily enough, Optic shows more weaknesses, at least online, than Shopify does.
Mm-hmm.
And arguably even at the last event, like Shopify didn't have a weakness until it was Optic in the grand finals. So if Optic, I mean, like there's a world where Shopify closes it out and I wouldn't be surprised and you would be right, but I'm kind of hoping I'm right. But
I think every team, if you go land to land, like every team is either taking steps forward or backwards, right? So I'm going to go down the list. Like, do you think Optic took a step forward or backwards from last event?
See, I would say that they're probably in the same spot.
Even with like less practice, less opens, everything else, you think they're in this, like they're gonna be right where they're at?
Oh, you can say like it's only been what 3 weeks?
Yeah,
since Arlington. So, I mean, they were late to start scrimming, but we also scrimmed them the other day, and like they're going hard, like in their scrims,
yeah.
like their streams aren't on.
Hard. Yeah,
they're doing their thing. Shopify's definitely been grinding, and Shopify looks really good. But again, they looked really good before the last event. Like,
yeah.
They were untouchable online. They were beating Optic online. Like, Optic went 7-7 in maps against Envy. Like,
yeah,
it's But meanwhile, Shopify 14-0'd them the next day. Like,
yeah, yeah.
It's I don't know, man. I think it's probably roughly the same for both teams.
I feel like predicting either of those two teams was like flipping a coin.
Yeah.
I mean, prior to Arlington, they were like dead even in maps throughout all the scrims and the opens. They were literally tied to the game, So, yeah, I can't really. So now to Nemesis. You think Nemesis has taken a step forward or backwards since last event? Obviously, you think they took a step forward if you put them in third.
I think they take a step forward purely because they won't be as tired from the whole like reset playing at the crack of dawn thing. That being said, like logically, they take a step backwards because they didn't get a boot camp. So I just think they were better than top 6 last event and got kind of screwed over by circumstance.
Out of all these teams here, are you able to say which ones are boot camping right now this week?
Zero Tenacity, I believe, is boot camping. They're at like Clutch Academy's house or headquarters or whatever. Envy is not. I don't know about Ether. Nemesis is not. Mind Freak might already be here, but I'm not sure if that's like a real boot camp like last time or just them getting here a couple days early. That's the only ones I know of. Shopify might be, but I don't know for certain or not. So yeah, that's the only ones I know for sure of are Zero Tenacity because they've been looking for NA scrims.
It's a tricky place to be because, like, for example, if you're Optic, you're not really going to get very good practice like land boot camping against anyone other than Shopify, and you don't want to play them. You know what I mean? Like, you could technically be boot camping like FaZe or something like that, but again, like that's still a team that's a threat to you, so you don't really want to help these teams, So I think we're in an interesting place already in the season where people are, more closed off to boot camping with the other teams on their level, whereas like you said, a team like Zero Tenacity, like they're trying to make moves, so they're like trying to boot camp anybody they can, right? So be interesting to see if that pays off. I mean, Zero Tenacity, like that could work dividends for them.
Oh yeah, I mean right now they're scrimming Ether and they're up 3-1. Right now Envy and Gen G are scrimming. Envy's up 2-0. Optic is scrimming FaZe. Optic's up 4-1. TSM scrimming SSG. TSM's up 2-1. And Cloud9 is scrimming Omit. Cloud9's up 6-2.
Nice. We're not scrimming today?
No, because we have a Canadian who has to drive across and then fly in the
Oh
morning.
my gosh, do that whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah, we were gonna scrim Zero Tenacity. We had it scheduled, but then he has to do that whole thing. So no
gotcha.
scrim for us today.
Well, make sure you get a screenshot of this because I want to see this posted. I want to make sure folks chime in to let them know who they think is going to be more right on this. But no,
I just
this
can't wait
is
to see Nuggets reply to you.
You got you got. What we got to do is we got to screenshot our prediction graphic from the last event where it was just me on an Excel sheet, and then how I do things versus when Nick is going to do something, and then it's all like pretty and it's got stickers and all the logos and stuff looks so freaking tight. Like, this is like so pretty to just look at, man. But no, shout out to you for getting this all put together, man. I was really looking forward to this for a minute, and like I said, I'm actually kind of pumped to go to this event now.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be super fun, and then I really enjoy CDL as well. So getting to watch all that in the same place is gonna be so unbelievably cool. There's gonna be so much hype there. Make sure you guys, let us know your predictions as well. We're gonna be posting this online on socials. Make sure you interact with the tweets and whatnot. Help us out, get the show out there more. With that being said, let's jump into some closing statements here, Nick. You did all right with your predictions. Why don't you let people know what the rest of this week looks like for you as you're getting ready for the event, and also where they can find you online?
Yeah, so we're going to be just wrapping up, getting things prepped and ready for our pool play matches coming this weekend at DreamHack Dallas. So we're excited about that. We got some studying of the competition to do, but you can find me on socials at Thy Ashes. Make sure you follow Complexity Halo as well and Complexity as a whole, because we'll be posting this graphic. And like Hunter said, we definitely want to hear your thoughts, your predictions. Are we faded? Are we accurate? Who's going to win? Who did better? I'm the reigning champ in terms of predictions. So, will Hunter surpass me this time now that he believes in the Nemesis supremacy? But yeah, so make sure you're following all of that, checking all that out. And I hope to see all of you watching in the chat or at person at DreamHack Dallas. Hunter, let them know where you're at.
Before I do that, I think it's funny that you said now that I believe in the Nemesis supremacy, and even still, you still managed to predict them higher than me. It's like you just had to one-up me with your prediction of that team. I was like, I'm finally bought in. They're going to get fourth. Amazing. They're going to kick Space Nation out of the top six. You're like, yeah, well, they're getting third. Okay, fine, whatever. But no, you can find me, Hunter JJX, on all socials, on TikTok, on Twitch. I'm streaming Halo every single day, bringing you guys that content, powering through it. You'll find me roaming the venue this weekend at DreamHack, doing absolutely nothing. I don't even I'm not on a team. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just there for the vibes. I'm gonna bring some pom-poms and cheer on the squad. That NV matchup Friday night is gonna be insane. I can't wait to be there in person for that. But no, yeah, appreciate you guys watching. 9 episodes in. Nick, I appreciate you sticking with me for 9 episodes. We're about to hit double digits, so that's a big milestone. Awesome to see, to just get a chance to do this with you every single week, man. So glad to be here.
Love it, man. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure that you're back here next Tuesday when we talk about the results of DreamHack Dallas. And until then, we hope you all enjoy, play some Halo, have some fun, and we'll see you all at the next episode.